Today we have a really great program. We have Dr. Mara Gottlieb. She's the president of Talking Changes, an anti-oppression and biased awareness consulting firm. For over 20 years, she's run workshops across the country, including serving as a keynote speaker, presenting at NASW conferences. Her programs address subjects ranging from cultural humility to anti-racism advocacy, LGBTQ awareness, teen suicide prevention, and vicarious trauma. Dr. Gottlieb has served as an adjunct professor at NYU Silver School of Social Work, Smith College School of Social Work, and Southern Connecticut State University. She holds a BA from Brown University, earned her MSW and Ph.D. in social work from NYU. The Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and the consortium welcomes Dr. Mara Gottlieb. Thank you so much for attending and presenting to us today.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Shelley. Thank you, Rebecca. And I see a number of familiar faces here. It's really an honor and wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm going to share my screen with you all. All right. Can you all see a screen, just one screen that says "When Women Support Women"?
Yes, we can.
Outstanding. Okay. So there's a fine line between excitement and nervousness, and I just want to let everybody know that I'm walking that line. I am really, this means so much to me today, and I'm so grateful to Shelley and to Rebecca, and I just want to say to all of you who are here that they trusted me enough to not check up on me about what we were going to be doing today. So I'm hoping that I don't know. I'm hoping that we have some fun, and I'm hoping that it is inspiring and interesting for all of you. So I want to start off just telling you a little bit about the morning. I will never call on you. This is not a class. My hope is just that this is presented in honor of the work that you do, as a way to support you and make you feel supported in your work, and maybe also to help you think about how you do the work you do and why you do the work you do. So everyone who is on this call today will get a copy, a PDF of all of the slides for today. So this is yours to keep and yours to talk about with your colleagues if you wish to. And with that, I think we'll get started. And also, Sheila mentioned this before, but please be comfortable, get coffee, get something to eat. Please, I hope that this feels like some self-care. So with that being said, I have a couple of operating assumptions that I was thinking about as I was creating this training for today, and I wanted to share them with you. First of all, I just want to acknowledge that we are living in crazy times, and your work, I think all of our work, but I think your work in particular can feel sometimes never ending. It can feel undervalued, and it can feel like it isn't making any difference. And working with people who are grappling with addiction can feel particularly that way. And one of the reasons for that is in the next bullet point. And I wanted to share this with you because it has meant the world to me in terms of how I work with and think about addiction, which is that addiction is nothing more than an obsessive, compulsive, repetitive attempt to self-soothe, that the clients that we are working with are using the tools that they have in order to try to take care of themselves. And as you all know, probably more than I do, when opiates or marijuana or gambling or sex or food starts to give our brain a rush of good feelings, we build a pathway in our brain that says, that's what I need in order to comfort myself. And with drugs in particular, the comfort is so tremendous that it's really hard to kind of live in real life, which is hard. Real life is just freaking hard. And I don't know why we don't talk about that more, but it's really hard to live in real life without going back to that thing that makes us feel better. So I want to say and I hope that you all say this to yourselves and that your family is saying it to you, but I wanted to be one of those voices, that your willingness to listen to someone else's story and to offer them an environment where they feel seen and respected and supported, you are changing people's lives. You are changing people's potential to grow and change and to live to what they were put on this earth to achieve. And just creating that space where you are patient with them and you believe in them could truly be the thing that changes their path forever. But in addition to that, you need that same respect and that same regard. No matter what age we are or what our professional role is, we need to be listened to. We need to feel seen and respected, and we need to get support. And so in the next 60 minutes or so, we're going to be covering a little bit of all of that. And just to clarify, Rebecca, Shelley, Sheila, I have till 11:15. Is that right? What?
I believe so, but Sheila confirmed for us.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
75.
Good.
Yes,
Perfect.
Good.
Thank
Thanks.
you. All right, good. So I wanted to start off with a video that I just love by someone who you may have heard of. Her name is Brene Brown. She's also a PhD in social work. For a while, I kind of wanted to be her when I grew up, and now I've, kind of found my way. But she talks a little bit here about the distinction between sympathy and empathy, and I wanted to share it with you. So here we go.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, you climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. Yeah. And we do it all the time, because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now, I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
Thank you so much for watching. It is incredibly difficult, I think, and vulnerable and exhausting to feel with people. I would say that I would guess, if I were a betting kind of girl, that most of the people on this call today have experienced some kind of trauma in our lives. And when we hear the trauma of others, in order to have empathy, we have to touch the place in ourselves that has experienced that trauma. And that is hard and vulnerable and scary. And sometimes it is easier to shut that down with sarcasm, with at least statements like she said, to sort of be like, well, you don't have it so bad. This, this will pass, to kind of shut down our own vulnerability and push it away. But what we do when we push it away is that we also push that other person away, and we push their pain away. And in some ways we minimize their pain. And it is not an easy ask to ask ourselves to remain open and vulnerable when our clients are sharing difficult experiences with us, particularly if they remind us of parts of our past lives, or if they feel like something that we would not want to visit ourselves. And so from the beginning, I just wanted to acknowledge that what you are doing takes an enormous amount of vulnerability and of strength. And I want to talk a little bit about kind of where this strength comes from in us and how we can build on that strength. As some of you may have seen with me in the past, I do a lot of work in the area of what I call cultural humility, which I think is a much better way of talking about cultural competence. I think cultural competence is a lot of bull. Like, I'm not competent in my own cultures, much less anybody else's culture. And the idea that I would be competent, or that I would know enough about somebody's culture to be competent, it seems sort of arrogant to me. And what I like better is this idea of cultural humility, that I am willing to go into this work recognizing that I am a messy human being with my past experiences, and that I am talking to a messy human being with their past experiences. And maybe there's some way that we can connect, or there's some way that I can hear this person's story and be patient about listening to it and honor it and be helpful to them. And in order for me to do that well, I have to be willing to take a look at where my beliefs come from, right? Like, where my ideas about things come from. What was I taught? And in order to do that, I want to start off with a little bit of an activity, if I could. I'm going to show you a photograph. And for the first 15 seconds of this activity, all I want you to do is just take a long look at this photograph and pay attention to, what do you see? What do you notice about it? What does it make you feel to look at it? Like, how are you reacting to it? And then we'll talk about that afterwards. So here's the photo. Take a look. All right. For the next minute, would you grab a scrap piece of paper and a pen and just write down absolutely anything that you noticed regarding the picture that I just showed you? Anything at all. No judgment. And also, if you want to write down how it made you feel, that would be great too. So take a minute. Okay, that's time. For anyone who would be comfortable, would you mind, you can either unmute yourself, or maybe it's easier to just use the chat and write down just what did you notice? How did it make you feel? Anything that you saw in the photo that you paid attention to, that your eyes kind of honed in on, or anything that it made you feel? Love, beautiful smiles, family, trust, joy, wanted to be a part of the group, unity, women smiling, oh my goodness, Black girl magic, warmth, connection, love, happy, all holding hands, smiles and affection, love, safety, natural hair, a group of women who are connected. Oh my gosh, this is so great. Okay, generations. All right, I'm going to go back through. Love, warm, happy, women loving on women, nurturing, united. Excellent. Everyone is smiles, everyone is affectionate, everyone's holding hands. Christelle, please, did you want to say something?
Oh, yes, definitely. Along with all what everybody else just said, noticing the support, the love, and the strength, it made me yearn for more connections with women in my life.
Beautiful.
It made me want that more.
Okay, thank you so much. And thanks for speaking up. 7 new messages. This is so great. Smiles, warmth, closeness, hair. Someone said, sometimes a picture can be a facade. Okay, this is great. So first of all, I just want to share with you, because I have to. This was a picture taken at a TED Talk. TED Talks are these 10 to 18 minute lectures that people give on an area of their own expertise. The person who gave it is herself an astrophysicist. I will provide the link to this, but the people in this photo are, starting at the left, an astrophysicist, a professional photographer, an East African jazz vocalist, an astronomer, astrobiologist, and a fellow at UCLA and Harvard, a choreographer, and a biologist and postdoctoral research associate. So these are women who are not only uplifting each other in this photo, but who are making a real imprint in their worlds, who have followed their dreams. What I want to ask you is, a lot of you saw some similar things, but a number of you pointed out some different details, or you saw some different things in the photo. Some of you saw togetherness. Sometimes some of you kind of had some questions, or is this a facade, or what's really going on? Some of you noticed hair texture. Some of you noticed body shapes. Some of you noticed smiles, or that they were affectionate. Here is my question for you. I showed you all the same photo. Why would different people, there's 59 of us on this call, why would different people notice some different things about the exact same photograph? And again, you're more than welcome to unmute or to answer in the chat. Why would people notice such different things? Experience, our experiences, different experiences and values. Our experiences shape the way we see the world. Beautifully, beautifully said. To me, what you've just said is at the core of the very delicate work that we do when we are working with other people. Because I want to put out there that every single one of us, all of us, we see the world through our own lens of life experiences. Where I am in the moment determines what I see. Beautiful. And let me extend this. If I've had a crappy morning, if I've had a fight with my spouse, if I got turned down for a promotion, if I was in a ton of traffic and I'm late, all of that can spill out into the way that I'm treating my clients. It can spill out into the way that I do or do not greet you in the hallway. It can have such a huge effect on the way that I see myself and the way that I see you and the way I see my clients. And thinking about that and considering that and being willing to stop and pause and say, hold on a second, where is my reaction coming from? How am I responding? Is one of the most compassionate and empathetic things that we can do to make sure that the work with our clients and the work that we do when we're talking to each other is really as good as it can possibly be. Because I'm going to be even more honest with you, we live in a world that does not treat women, and especially women of color, particularly well. It does not value us the way that we deserve to be valued. And we are paid less. We are not as represented, whether it's in government or Fortune 500 companies. We are already working within a system that is telling us that we are not as good as men are, or as people with lighter skin are. We are constantly in that battle. And so to be willing to recognize what are the messages that I was told and what are the messages that I'm telling myself can have an unbelievably profound, like literally game-changing effect on the way that we see ourselves, the way we see our work, and the way that we see our clients. And just as some examples of that, I want to show you a couple of videos. Both of these videos, they're spliced together into one, but they're both available on YouTube if you want them and if you want to show them to your family or your colleagues. But I wanted you to see this to just, again, have another facet of the perspective of what it means to be women working with women, whether we are each other's colleagues or whether we are each other's clients. So here are the two videos together. Take a look.
Hi, Erin.
Hi.
Okay, so I'm gonna just give you some actions to do. I just do the first thing that comes to mind. Show me what it looks like to run like a girl.
My hair. Oh, God.
Show me what it looks like to fight like a girl. Now throw like a girl.
Aw. My name is Dakota, and I'm 10 years old.
Show me what it looks like to run like a girl. Throw like a girl. Fight like a girl. What does it mean to you when I say run like a girl?
It means run fast as you can.
So do you think you just insulted your sister?
No. I mean, yeah, insulted girls, but not my sister.
Is like a girl a good thing?
Actually, I don't know if it's a bad thing or a good thing. It sounds like a bad thing. It sounds like you're trying to humiliate someone.
So when they're in that vulnerable time between 10 and 12, how do you think it affects them when somebody uses like a girl as an insult?
I think it definitely drops their self-confidence and really puts them down, because during that time, they're already trying to figure themselves out. And when somebody says, you hit like a girl, it's like, well, what does that mean? Because they think they're a strong person. It's kind of like telling them that they're weak and they're not as good as them.
And what advice do you have to young girls who are told they run like a girl, kick like a girl, hit like a girl, swing like a girl?
Keep doing it, because it's working. If somebody else says that running like a girl or kicking like a girl or shooting like a girl is something that you shouldn't be doing, that's their problem. Because if you're still scoring and you're still getting to the ball on time and you're still being first, you're doing it right. Doesn't matter what they say. I mean, yes, I kick like a girl and I swim like a girl and I walk like a girl and I wake up in the morning like a girl because I am a girl. And that is not something that I should be ashamed of. So I'm gonna do it anyway. That's what they should do.
If I asked you to run like a girl now, would you do it differently?
I would run like myself.
Would you like a chance to redo it?
Yeah.
Why can't run like a girl also mean win the race?
Growing up, I had the lack of representation.
I was looking for someone that looked like me, and there was no one there.
None of them looked like me.
There was no South Asian female.
Media matters and entertainment matters because it changes what we think of ourselves and what other people think of us.
It's important to make sure that people can see themselves reflected in certain job positions, on TV, in ads.
If I had seen my face or a Black woman's face, I think it would have changed everything for me.
What's the picture of the person that you see? What does it look like? If it doesn't look like me, then I need to change your mind.
Why can I not be that? Of course I can.
Stop accepting that it has to be this way and accepting where we are. It's not good enough. I think it's up to all of us to keep fighting for real equality.
When we have equality, the whole market grows. So everybody benefits from this.
It's always been about representation, speaking up for people who are silenced.
Because sometimes you can't know that something matters unless you've lived it.
Girls everywhere growing up like I did not only see themselves, but realize that they too are deserving of an audience and deserving of being heard.
The amount of opportunity that we have to touch people's lives is extraordinary.
Every voice matters and everybody belongs.
So if I can positively impact how you deal with the next woman who looks like me, that's all good.
Thank you again. And someone wrote, will the videos be made available to us? They are both available on YouTube, but I can also share the links to them so that they can be sent to you. I know that this last video was talking about media and people, famous people, but I also heard the work that you do, that when you make your clients believe that they can accomplish what they want to accomplish, when we believe that we can accomplish what we want to accomplish, and it's somebody who looks like us, we are changing the story. And we are living through a time when I believe that our story is changing as women, for people with darker skin hues. We are fighting and we are not allowing things to be the way that they were. And if you don't recognize that you are part of that change, I want to remind you that you are. And that what you do is that there are all of these forces telling the clients that you work with that they can't be any more than they are, that they are restricted to the lives that they have. And you may be the one voice in their life that says, how can I help you be who you want to be? How can I help you do what you dream of doing? And that you are making those changes that we just saw in other people's lives. And I want to just say thank you for that. But I also I want to continue to dig a little bit, since I get to have you for a few more minutes, to dig into what are the messages that you learned about being female. from your family, from the environments where you grew up. And I want to ask you to do something with me that you may not normally feel comfortable doing, which is and I'm gonna change to the next slide. I have 4 questions that I would love for you all to talk about with each other in some small breakout rooms. It will not last very long, but it could be your only opportunity to have the time to think about your answers to these questions. I will read them out loud, but in the meantime, if you want to take a screenshot of them or somehow have them to hold on to so that when you go into a breakout room, you will have them. I'll read them out loud. So when you were a child, what were you told you could do or could be? Was there anything that you were told you couldn't do or couldn't be? And just as an extra part of that, was any of that to do with your gender? Were there roles that you were expected to play because of being born the gender that you were? The next question, when you were a teenager or young adult, was there anyone in your life who saw your true potential? Do you remember somebody, whether it was a teacher or a parent or another family member, a babysitter, somebody who you felt saw you and saw the potential in you or really got you? Question number 3, if you could have said anything to your teenage or young adult self to guide her or encourage her, what would you have told her? What messages do you wish that your teenager had heard that you could say now in a way? And then this last one is more coming into your adult life. Who can you go to when you need support now? Can you name one person at work and one person in your personal life who see the value in you and can remind you of what you offer the world? What I would love to ask of you is I'm going to try to put you in groups of 3 or 4. And I would love for each of you to have 3 minutes to answer any of these, hopefully all of these questions if you're comfortable, but to answer any of these questions to the other people in your group that you feel comfortable answering. And here's the thing. Your answers will, if you're willing to take the risk to respond, your answers will help you inspire thoughts in other people, things that they might not have thought of before. It may create a connection with somebody that you didn't have before, create a bond, create a similarity that you didn't know that you had. So I know that this might be unusual, but I would love it to the extent that you're willing, if each person would be willing to take 3 minutes to answer as much of these questions as you would be willing to answer. So again, if you would take a screenshot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you into breakout groups. And this is going to be a little complicated because we have some folks who are also moderating the call today. And I will let you know when each person's 3 minutes is up and to switch to the next person. You'll see a little sign in your breakout room pop up to switch. So you don't have to time yourself. You don't have to worry about taking too much time. I'll let you know when it's time to switch. And then when you all have spoken, as much as you feel comfortable, you can come back. Does this make sense to everybody? Okay. So first of all, thank you so much. I really respect and appreciate that most of you stayed in the rooms, and I would love to ask, because I have no control over this, right? But I would love to ask that anything that was said in your room remain confidential to you all. And if there was personal information shared that you feel somebody else might benefit from or be helped by, all you have to do is ask permission, and then it's not gossip, right? Like that's the only difference there, is just asking permission to share it if it's personal information. But with that being said, could I just ask, and you can write in the chat or you can unmute yourself, how was this? Was it helpful, uncomfortable, interesting, insight bearing, like any responses at all? I really want to know, how was this?
It was great. It was great to talk to other women who are powerful, and they were really empowering. And it's nice to know a little bit about somebody else.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. What a great start. Powerful, helpful, comfortable. Oh my goodness. Encouraging. You're making my day. You're more than welcome to say that you hated it too. Please don't feel like you have to like feed me, but this is great. Other responses? Anybody else want to unmute?
I think it was helpful, a helpful reminder that you don't know people's stories and you don't know what people have been through or what their life experiences have been like, and how that can shape who they are and where they're going in life. So I think it was just a healthy reminder that we all come from, we all have some parallels, but we all have some differences in life, and to remain mindful of that.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else want to share? I'm also looking at the chats. A lot of people kind of saying, yeah, different stories, and yet your ability to relate to each other's stories and have empathy for each other's stories. This is my bias, so I want to be honest about this. I'm 53 years old, and I have had a lot of trauma in my life and a lot of disconnection. And I grew up in a family that was incredibly disconnected, and learned from an early age through a lot of experiences that human beings were not safe. And the problem has always been for me that human beings are my species, and without connection, I didn't want to be alive. And I really mean that quite literally. And for me, my addiction was food, and I used that to numb out and to sort of dissociate from the world. And I also just, a lot of bad relationships, a lot of ways that I fueled disconnection rather than fueling connection. And one of the things that that at 53 continues to make my life better is recognizing how much feeling safe and connected with maybe just a handful of other people means to me. That if I don't have that, my life isn't worth living. But I have to, so I heard a saying, my picker was broken for a really, really long time. And I had to kind of readjust and find people who were worthy of my trust and worthy of that connection. And if you have that, I am so delighted for you. And I think that is like, if we have those connections and those people that we can go to and trust, if we trust ourselves, if we have respect for ourselves, if we like who we are for the most part, I think that is a foundation for everything that's possible for us. But if in listening to people's answers and thinking about these questions, if you recognize that you don't have those people that you trust, you can, and thinking about who might that be, who has the potential to be that, in terms of your colleagues, in terms of your friends, in terms of your own courage to share who you really are with other people. So just a couple of people, it took me by surprise how emotional the conversation was. It is hard to share. I was saying while you all were in your groups that I think that this is starting to change, but women in particular, we have been trained to hate each other. We have been trained to compete with each other. We have been trained to see each other as competition for men. We have been trained to see each other as competition for the fewer jobs that we have than men do. We have not been trained to support one another. And maybe that's starting to change, but everything is different. The kaleidoscope that we see through, the lens that we see through is different when we begin to see each other as allies, and when we lift each other up, and when we connect with each other. And I hope that what you just took the risk of doing, and it was a risk, helped remind you of the possibilities that exist when we do support and help each other. I have one last video to show you, and then you're going to get a little bit of free time today. We're going to break a little bit early. But I want to tell you a little bit about this video before we see it. The video is a speech that was given by Angela Bassett. She was given the Icon Award in a Black Girls Rock awards ceremony, and she was introduced by Regina King. And for those of you who might not know Angela Bassett, she has been a powerhouse in the acting field for decades and has played sort of almost every role imaginable under the sun. And she was chosen for this Icon Award. And when I saw this speech, I knew I wanted to give it to you. And I'm hoping many of you have not seen it. And I'll say no more. Here you go.
Hey, sisters, you good? You look good. You look good. You look like a letter from home. I always look forward to watching the Black Girls Rock Awards. It's such a special night of tribute and recognition of us. So it means so much for me to be here with you tonight. I'm often asked in interviews if my portraying smart, strong women throughout my career has been on purpose. In thinking about what to say to you tonight, the word purpose and what it means has filled my...
Hold on a sec. Black box covering it. All right, we're going to get this right, folks.
Spirit.
Is that better?
We all have purpose, even if we're still striving to understand.
One sec. Okay, good. There we go. That's my chat box. I'm moving it. Here we go. All right.
That is, when I decided as a teenager that acting would be my path, whether I recognized it or not, I was walking towards my purpose. As a young actress trying to make my way, survival figured into the equation, but not so much that I was ever willing to compromise my integrity. It hasn't always been easy, and there have been tough times, days when the phone didn't ring, even after What's Love got to do with it, as well as moments of uncertainty and of doubt. But what women like my mother, Betty Jane, and my Aunt Golden taught me is that there will be times when you seemingly face insurmountable obstacles, but that's when you dig deep into your soul for the courage and the fortitude to keep going and to never forget that despite life's detours, you are destined for greatness. My purpose tonight is to say thank you. Thank you to my beautiful family, to my husband, Courtney, to my children, Bronwyn and Slater, for giving me the opportunity and the space to be a Black girl who rocks. Thank you to BET and to Beverly Bond and to everyone who works so hard to bring us together for this momentous annual celebration. It's imperative that we continue to support events that lift us up, that recognize our contributions, and that help us feel a connectivity, allowing us to see one another, even when we sometimes can't see ourselves. I accept this award in the names of the iconic women who have inhabited me, who have empowered me, inspired me, strengthened me, and elevated me. Thank you, Rosa Parks. Thank you, Tina Turner. Thank you, Coretta Scott King, Betty Shabazz, Katherine Jackson. Thank you, Voletta Wallace. I say their names because when you show gratitude, you're able to remember that you didn't arrive in this place on your journey by yourself. Oh, you had help. You had support. You had guidance. And it's this community that feeds our souls when we're running on empty. So when you're told you're not good enough, you tell them, not only am I good enough, I'm more than enough. When they say, send her back home, you tell them, I am home. I am the foundation of what we call home. When they tell you that you're angry or nasty, you tell them that they're mistaken. This is me. This is me being resolute and standing firmly in my truth. And when they say you're not beautiful, you tell them that you are the descendant of royalty, and you are a queen. I would encourage you to take this experience with you as you go about your respective journeys, knowing that we were present for one another tonight. Freedom fighter Sojourner Truth is one of my personal heroes, so I've chosen to close my time here with you tonight with her words. If the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn this world upside down, these women together ought to be able to turn it right again. So sisters, we have much work to do, and together we are unstoppable. Always remember that our voices, the very power that we hold individually and all of us collectively, it does matter. Now is not the time to be silent. Find your purpose, pursue it relentlessly, passionately, and loudly. Be persistent and win. I love you. We are all Black girls who rock. Thank you again for honoring me tonight. If God be for you, who can be against you?
I'm going to just end there and say thank you to everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me the privilege of being here. Thank you to all of you who do this work, who do this amazing work. This is my email and my contact information. I would love to be an ally to you going forward. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.